Twins for the Billionaire, a single mom's journey to love and belonging. Elena had known struggle all her life. Growing up in an orphanage, she learned to rely on herself, never expecting anyone to lend a helping hand. She often watched other children being adopted, yearning for the warmth of a family and a place where she truly belonged. The loneliness gnawed at her, leaving an ache in her heart that never seemed to fade. Yet, she was determined not to let her circumstances define her. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, she channeled her emotions into her studies, pushing herself to excel. She worked tirelessly, earning a full scholarship to study law at one of the most prestigious universities in the country. She was determined to carve out a better future for herself. But deep inside, she still harbored a quiet hope. One day she would have a family of her own, one that she would cherish and protect. University life, however, was far from easy. Though she was intelligent and hardworking, her peers, many from wealthy, high society families, looked down on her. They sneered at her secondhand clothes, mocked her for working a part-time job, and whispered cruel remarks behind her back. "Did you see what Elena's wearing today? Looks like she got it from a thrift store dumpster," one girl snickered. "Oh, please," as if she could ever afford real designer brands. "She should just quit and go back to whatever hole she came from," another added with a smirk. Despite their harsh words, Elena refused to let their cruelty break her spirit. She clenched her fists and lifted her chin, reminding herself why she was there. Every insult, every whisper behind her back, only fueled her determination to succeed. She juggled long hours of study with a part-time job to support herself, pushing forward despite the hardships, knowing that one day she would rise above them all. Maya was one of the few bright spots in Elena's university life. Unlike their affluent peers, Maya also came from a modest background and had earned her place at the university through a full scholarship. They bonded over their shared struggles, often studying together late into the night, pushing each other to keep going despite the pressures. Maya was the only friend Elena had, her unwavering support a source of comfort in an otherwise harsh environment. As the final term approached, Maya noticed the exhaustion weighing on Elena. "You need a break," she insisted one afternoon in the library. "If you don't take a breather now, you'll burn out before exams even begin." Elena sighed, rubbing her temples. "I don't have time for breaks, Maya. I have work assignments and I need to start preparing for job applications." "Come on," Maya coaxed, a teasing smile on her lips. "Just one weekend away. No books, no work, just fun. We'll go to the beach, maybe even dance a little. You deserve this." Elena hesitated, but Maya's enthusiasm was infectious. "Fine," she finally relented with a small smile. "But just this once." Maya grinned. "That's the spirit. Get ready for the best weekend of your life." On their first night out, Maya insisted they go to a bar. "Come on, Elena, just one drink. Let's celebrate surviving this term," she coaxed with a playful grin. Elena hesitated, gripping her glass of water. "I don't know, Maya. I've never really been into drinking." Maya rolled her eyes. "That's because you've never had a reason to let loose. Look, I promise. Just one or two, and if you don't like it, we can leave." Elena sighed, finally giving in. "Fine, but you owe me pancakes tomorrow morning." Maya laughed. "Deal. Now, let's have some fun." One drink turned into two, then three, and soon Elena found herself laughing more freely than she had in years. For the first time, she felt unburdened, free from the worries of exams, work, and the weight of being an outsider. But as the night wore on, the drinks dulled her senses, and her mind became a blur. The last thing she remembered was Maya trying to guide her back to the hotel before everything turned hazy. Before she knew it, she stumbled into what she thought was her hotel room. Her body felt heavy, her mind clouded with alcohol, and as she slipped under the covers, she surrendered to what she believed was a dream so vivid and intoxicating that it made her blush, even in her sleep. She felt warmth, a strong touch, the gentle caress of hands exploring her, as soft whispers filled the air. The sensations felt so real, so intense, but in her drunken haze, she accepted it as nothing more than a fantasy. By morning, the remnants of the dream still lingered on her skin, making her cheeks burn. But as her foggy mind cleared, Reality hit her like a freight train. She wasn't in her room. The scent of sandalwood and a distinctly masculine presence surrounded her. Panic surged through her veins as she turned her head and saw a man, a stranger, lying beside her, his features serene in slumber. Her heart pounded violently as she noticed the slight disarray of the sheets, the undeniable evidence of what had transpired. A horrified gasp escaped her lips, and she scrambled out of bed, grabbing the nearest towel and clutching it around herself as if it could shield her from the weight of her mistake. Her clothes and belongings were scattered across the floor, and she gathered them in a frantic rush. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps as she threw one last glance at the man, terrified that he might wake up. Not giving herself a moment more to process, she bolted from the room, her bare feet padding against the cold hallway floor as she made her way to her own room as fast as possible. Shame, confusion, and panic swirled inside her, making it impossible to think clearly. All she knew was that she had to get out of there, away from him, away from whatever had happened the night before. Unbeknownst to her, the man in the room was none other than Julian Hawthorne, the heir to the Hawthorne empire. After a heated argument with his father about his responsibilities and settling down, Julian had stormed out, seeking solace in a bottle of whiskey. Lost in his thoughts and fueled by frustration, he had ended up at the same hotel, drowning his sorrows at the bar. His mind clouded with alcohol, he barely remembered stumbling into what he assumed was his own room, only to awaken to a reality he had never anticipated. When he awoke, his head pounded with the remnants of his intoxication. But something else caught his attention, a faint, intoxicating scent of sandalwood and vanilla. It was unmistakably a woman's fragrance, delicate yet lingering, clinging to the sheets and his skin. His confusion deepened when he noticed bloodstains on the sheets, his eyes widening as the reality of the night settled in. His mind raced back to flashes of the night before. A soft moan, the warmth of delicate fingers gripping him, the sensation of smooth skin beneath his touch. He could still feel the ghost of her lips on his, the way she had melted against him. And then, as if etched into his memory, he recalled a small birthmark in the shape of a crescent moon on her right shoulder. Julian sat up, running a hand through his disheveled hair, astonished by the realization. He had never been one to lose control, never had a night of passion he couldn't fully recall. But this woman, whoever she was, had completely shattered that streak. And rather than regret, an odd sense of intrigue filled him. Who was she? And why did he feel like he had just experienced something far more significant than a drunken mistake? By the time Elena realized her mistake, she was horrified. She left before Julian woke up, retreating into her usual life as though nothing had happened. When she returned to the hotel room she shared with Maya, her best friend immediately sensed something was off. "Okay, spill. You were gone all night and you look like you've seen a ghost," Maya teased, plopping onto the bed next to Elena. "Did something interesting happen?" Elena hesitated, gripping the edge of the blanket, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. "I don't know what happened. I thought I was dreaming, but when I woke up, it was real." Maya's eyes widened in excitement. "Oh my God, Elena, who was he? Was he at least hot?" Elena groaned, burying her face in her hands. "I don't know. I just ran." Maya let out a dramatic sigh. "Wow, my best friend had a mysterious one-night stand, and I didn't even get to meet the guy. Unbelievable. But hey, welcome to the club." Elena swallowed hard and whispered, "Maya, I was a virgin." Maya's mouth fell open. "You what?" she screeched, clutching her chest, as if Elena had just confessed to murder. Oh my God, this just got way more intense. "Elena, you lost your virginity to a total stranger and you don't even know his name? This is insane." "I know," Elena hissed, panic rising in her voice. "And that's why we are never talking about this again. Ever." Maya blinked before bursting into uncontrollable laughter. "Oh, honey, you think you can just forget something like this? Buckle up, bestie, because this is going to haunt you for a long, long time." Despite the banter, Elena felt the weight of what had happened pressing on her. As they returned to university, she tried to put the night behind her. She buried herself in her studies, pushing away the lingering memories and the emotions she couldn't quite understand. But then, the symptoms began. She felt exhausted all the time, waves of nausea creeping up on her at the most inconvenient moments. At first, she blamed stress, but when she realized her cycle was late, a sickening thought took hold. One nervous trip to the pharmacy and a pregnancy test later, her worst fears were confirmed. She was pregnant. The news sent her into a whirlwind of emotions: shock, fear, and, surprisingly, an overwhelming sense of determination. She had spent her life longing for a family, and now she had one growing inside her. Unlike her, they would have a mother who loved them unconditionally, no matter what. Realizing she wouldn't be able to apply for traditional legal jobs due to her growing belly, Elena took a well-paid freelance job and started saving. She planned meticulously for her children's future, and through it all, Maya was by her side. From late-night ice cream cravings to dramatic mood swings, Maya stuck with her like glue. "Elena, I swear, if you make me run to the store for pickles and peanut butter again, I'm moving out," Maya groaned, dropping a grocery bag onto the counter. Elena pouted, rubbing her belly. "But the babies want it, and you love me, so you'll do it." Maya let out a dramatic sigh. "I do love you, against my better judgment." Despite the exhaustion, Elena found comfort in Maya's unwavering presence. The weight of becoming a single mother was heavy, but Maya never let her feel alone. When Elena gave birth, Maya was right there, holding her hand and shouting encouragements between her own tears. "You got this, bestie. Two little angels are about to make their grand entrance." When she finally held her identical twin boys, Noah and Liam, all of Elena's fears melted away. They became her entire world. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging, a family she had created and would protect with everything she had. The Hawthorne Connection. Years passed, and Elena balanced motherhood and career building with Maya's help. The boys grew into mischievous, adventurous toddlers, always keeping her on her toes. But everything changed one fateful day when Noah and Liam accidentally ate strawberries, something Elena hadn't realized they were severely allergic to. Panicked, she rushed them to the hospital, her heart pounding with fear. As she paced the waiting room, an old man in a wheelchair, Mr. Hawthorne, the patriarch of the Hawthorne family, noticed the boys. Something about them seemed oddly familiar. Their striking resemblance to his own son Julian was uncanny. His sharp eyes narrowed as he approached them. "Who are your parents, young men?" Mr. Hawthorne asked. Noah, ever the talkative one, proudly declared, "Our mommy is Elena." Mr. Hawthorne's heart skipped a beat. These boys, they were unmistakably his grandsons. The sharpness of their eyes, the familiar curve of their smiles. It was like looking at a younger version of his own son. His breath hitched as realization settled heavily upon him. Julian had no idea he had children. Using his vast resources, Mr. Hawthorne quietly ordered a DNA test, which confirmed the truth. Noah and Liam were Julian's sons. He wasted no time confronting Julian with the news. "You have sons," Mr. Hawthorne stated firmly, sliding the test results across the desk. Julian, who had been nursing a glass of whiskey, stared at his father, then at the papers. His usually composed demeanor faltered as he skimmed the documents. "What? That's impossible," he murmured, his heart pounding. He hadn't been with a woman in years, not since that one night that haunted his memories. Mr. Hawthorne sat back, observing his son with sharp eyes. "I wanted you to secure the next generation, but after years of hoping, I thought it was too late. And now, out of nowhere, you already have your heirs. Two of them. It's time you met their mother." Julian's jaw tightened as he stared at the documents, his emotions a whirlwind of shock and confusion. "Twins?" he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. He had always wanted to be a father, but never like this. Never in a way where he had no memory of the woman who had given birth to his children. The reunion. Mr. Hawthorne arranged a meeting between Julian and Elena. When they finally came face to face, the air between them was electric. Julian's sharp gaze locked onto Elena's exposed shoulder. where the crescent-shaped birthmark rested. At that moment, the scent of vanilla and sandalwood surrounded him, and his entire demeanor shifted. "You remember, don't you?" Elena whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Julian nodded slowly, his fingers tightening on the back of her chair. "I never forgot," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I tried to move on, but no one else ever compared. I could never forget you." Elena's heart ached at his words. The years of loneliness suddenly felt heavier. "Neither could I," she confessed. Julian exhaled sharply as if grounding himself. Then his voice became steady, determined. "I won't let another day go by without making things right. I will take care of you and our children for the rest of my life. I will make up for all the lost time, Elena. I promise you." Tears welled up in Elena's eyes, but she blinked them away, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. "You don't have to do this, Julian," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We've been fine on our own." Julian stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "But you shouldn't have had to do it alone, Elena. I should have been there. I won't fail you again." A single tear slipped down Elena's cheek, and for the first time in years, she felt the weight of the past lifting, replaced by something new: hope and family. A new beginning. In the months that followed, Julian proved his commitment. He bonded with Noah and Liam, who quickly grew attached to their father. Maya remained by Elena's side, now as the honorary aunt who spoiled the boys rotten. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Julian took Elena's hand and looked into her eyes. "Elena, you've given me a second chance, a family I never knew I needed. I don't want to waste another moment. Will you marry me?" Elena's breath caught in her throat. She looked at Noah and Liam, who were grinning from ear to ear, and then back at Julian. "Yes," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, I will." The story ended with the family, Elena, Julian, Noah, Liam, and Maya, gathered together, happy and united. For the first time in her life, Elena felt she had found the place where she truly belonged.